Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. This is your brother Omar Suleiman. Here I am in Istanbul, and subhanAllah, as I walk through the streets, anywhere I go, when people say, "Where are you from?" when I say Palestine, there is an immediate recognition and awe and a love that the people have here for the Palestinian people, and particularly though for the cause of Palestine, a recognition of the place of Masjid al-Aqsa in the hearts of the believers all around the world. Now, I want to share a few things here about why I think we've really turned a corner. Well, obviously, it's been 70 years since the Nakba, 70 years since the catastrophe where people like my parents were run out of their homelands, places where they were raised, a place called Palestine, a country on the map called Palestine, a people who had an identity, people who had a land, a people that were living without transgressing against anyone else's rights, when suddenly they were uprooted and faced with all sorts of terror, violence, rape, made into refugees, had their identity stolen, placed under apartheid, and not finding any place in the world that really gives them a home. This cause has now reached, once again, the forefront with the US moving the embassy to Jerusalem and basically exposing the facade of these peace talks that have allowed for our lands to silently continue to be stolen under the guise of these continued peace talks. What does that mean now? It means that we need to really think about how we can place pressure on the Israeli government, on the powers of the world, so that we can finally come to a solution where Masjid al-Aqsa is liberated, where the Palestinian people are able to live in dignity, where we can truly realize peace, but not a peace that allows for our lands to continue to be stolen, or for innocent people to continue to be bombed, or protesters to be shot, or settlements to be expanded. We need a peace that is truly infused with justice, where people can live with their rights and their dignity, and where the wrongs that have been committed can finally be righted, at least to an extent, to where people can move on with their lives and have a brighter future. And so that's why this year I'm attending the AMP conference, the American Muslims for Palestine conference in November, inshallah, so that we can continue to talk about as a community what we can do. Progressives are coming around the country and starting to recognize in many different spaces that this is an issue that we can no longer turn a blind eye towards, that we cannot have this cognitive dissonance and be progressive except for Palestine. We're finding now that young Muslims, Christians, Jews, and people of other faiths are no longer able to ignore the violations, the continued human rights violations of Israel. We're finding greater support for the BDS movement amongst the Episcopalians, the Presbyterians, United Methodists to some extent. It's time for us to really think about how we can move forward as a community, as humanity, to uphold the rights and the dignity of the Palestinian people who for 70 years have had it taken away from them, and that's 70 years too long. So please do join me at the AMP conference in Chicago, and let's continue to make strides. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.